G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Shift Notes, Mentorship Boomerang. We're pretty lucky today. We have a New Zealand icon. We've claimed him as one of our own. He is originally from Cornwall. His name is Tim Etherington Judge. He's someone that has really kind of portrayed himself in the New Zealand hospitality scene and gone on to the world and taken on the big bad world and really showing what you can do in hospitality, which is why we think that he's someone that we really look up to and be really important to talk to and show you as part of our podcast series. He's someone that has a varied career, has worked in global brand roles, started Healthy Hospo, which is really one of the main reasons we wanted to kind of create that connection between our podcast series and also create a connection with Healthy Hospo and just see what they're doing around the world. And also he just loves New Zealand. He loves our industry, and he really likes to talk about his favorite bands, his favorite music, which just so happens come from New Zealand as well, which is quite fortunate.
Welcome. Professional. It's the most professional I've ever seen you. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm trying. It's early days. It's still early.
It's changed a lot.
Yeah.
I like this.
Welcome. What time is it over there right now?
It is 9:15 in the evening, and I'm coming to you live from the shed down in Cornwall, which for anyone that doesn't know much about England, it is the extreme southwest of England. So we have the most westerly point and the most southerly point in England.
So we've woken up early to try and meet him at the right time zone. So here we are coming from New Zealand. But yeah, really looking forward to having you on the show today because, of course, with the Healthy Hospo link, you are the person who started Healthy Hospo. And of course, we're starting to bring it to New Zealand slowly. So I started working with you in 2018 to start building, and I mean there's been a lot of background work that has gone on that you're completely aware of, but just trying to understand the logistics and building the content and refining it. And this year we've been busy piloting it for hopefully an industry launch coming soon. So a lot of people probably haven't met you who have experienced the program here in New Zealand, even though it's still in its early days. So this is going to be an awesome opportunity, I think, for everyone to actually hear from the person who started it all and some of your stories behind it. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's wicked for us to kind of make this reconnect. I guess probably both for me and G. Coming into places like Cartel back when we were super young bartenders and you were behind the bar, it's just really cool to kind of reconnect.
Sorry about that.
Something about Smurfs.
Oh God!
Smurfs and tomato consomme.
For anyone who's not aware, Mikey, do you want to elaborate?
I used to work over the road at a bar called the Corner Store, which is a sister bar to Cartel where Tim was working, and he threw down a full blue. Was it a full blue menu?
Yeah, full blue. Oh no! So it was based. We had a whole page of blue cocktail drinks, and this was before Jacob Ryers, who claims that he invented blue drinks. So it was based around a wedding. It was like something old, a classic, something borrowed.
That's right.
Something old, something new. Our signature drink, something borrowed, which drinks from other bars, and then something blue. It's a whole page of blue drinks.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I've forgotten all about that. Jesus.
That's right. We can get a bit more into it a little bit later. But
let's not talk about my last night. Let's not talk about the last night at Cartel.
We won't.
Oh, Jesus.
But no, it's really cool that we've all worked in different places around the world. Obviously, even Laurie probably wasn't working in the industry at that point, but to see kind of
I'm that old.
All these connections are we're pretty old too.
Yeah, I see it, and I've been fortunate enough to experience both the incredible bars that you and G worked at in London, two of my very favorite bars in the city, and to see both of you kind of come from New Zealand and absolutely smash it in what is the most competitive environment in the world. It was just absolutely amazing, and it shows that those bartenders and everyone who's kind of come through that New Zealand hospitality have gone on to achieve such amazing things. And you look at the global scene right now and how many Kiwis are just smashing it. I think it's testament to just how strong the scene is in New Zealand.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
I think we're quite lucky, even though we're quite far away from the world. We still manage to put our stamp on whatever we do.
I think that's also part of New Zealand's charm as well. Because if it was closer, every arsehole would be there. So I think it's because it's so far away, it takes a little bit more effort to get there. I think that is what helps keep it so special.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to kind of kick things off with like our first topic, which is more or less just like an introduction. Like Mikey said, we've known you for years now, and we've been quite fortunate to sit in front of you and get drinks from you and get to learn about you and what your travels. But could you just give us sort of like a little brief, like who you are and where you started bartending sort of scenario, where you started essentially?
I've been in Hospo. I was looking at your careers and how long you guys have been in Hospo. So it's about as long as you and Mikey combined. So freaking old I am. I just following in my father's footsteps. So my father was in hospitality, so I started off at the age of 14 in a little coffee shop down here in Cornwall. And I went from there, from making coffees to working in kitchens, and eventually finding my way into the bar. Where Cornwall, where I'm from, is a very tourist-driven area. So in the summer, there's loads and loads of places to get hospo jobs. So when you kind of reach 14, 16, you just automatically fall into something. So I worked in burger joints, flipping burgers. I worked in fine dining kitchens. Worked in pubs. I remember my first job in a pub. The guy was literally like, it's a common story, right? Just get behind the bar. Anyone can make drinks. Just off you go. First customer was like, "Can I have a gin and tonic, please?" I was like, "What's tonic?" Don't really know. But yeah, and my whole career has been in hospo. But I got really serious about cocktails, I guess, in 2005. So it's a bit of a late starter. But I was running this resort in Cornwall called the Giddy Beach Cafe. And you had like a restaurant, a cafe, beach shop, fast food, like ice cream, fast food takeaway. And we decided to put like a little cocktail menu into the restaurant. And I just got really into it. Just fell in love with the stories and the making of drinks. It was so much more than just cracking a beer or pouring a glass of wine. It was actually creating something. And I just really enjoyed it in that whole summer of making cocktails for people. Even though I was managing the whole place, I would be the one jumping behind the bar and making drinks. And then my mum passed away unexpectedly, Christmas 2005. And that was obviously a big defining moment in my life. And I was really close to my mum. So when she was alive, I never really wanted to travel very far. So I'd go away for like short trips, would always come back. And I always say that her final gift to me was the freedom to go travel. So once she passed away, and it was 4 days before Christmas, within a month, I'd quit my job and bought a one-way plane ticket to Auckland. And I've always been really into sustainable issues and the environment. I stopped eating meat 21 years ago for environmental reasons. And I always remember sitting around with my friends back in Cornwall. We'd sit around, get stoned, and talk about climate change and the environment and what would be the best places to live out and ride out climate change as it happens. We always said New Zealand. It's two small islands that are remote, surrounded by water. So it's got everything you need just to live out climate change. It's also kind of quite south. So it's never going to get too hot. It's never going to get too cold. So when I was making that decision of where to go after my mum passed away, there was only ever one choice. So landed into Auckland in April or May 2006. Spent 3 months kind of living on the Coromandel and traveling around, seeing the country. And then decided that I ran out of money, basically. There's no deciding I was going to get a job. So I need to eat and pay my rent. So I started looking around for a bar job. and got myself a job at the infamous Sky City.
Yes.
Back in the day when it was Bar 3, the Casino Flair Bar.
That's
Up there.
I think I remember that.
Remember that?
Remember Bar 3?
Yeah, it's just hilarious, like seeing what's going on now. And I remember the certain husband of a very important lady in your country who was one of the house DJs at the time.
Oh.
Yes, it was, wasn't
It's
it?
amazing to see Clark now, where he's gone to. Yeah, and it was a flair bar, but it was a lot of fun. It was a stupid cocktail menu. We had 100 cocktails on the menu, but what it really taught me was working fast, because it would be 3 deep for 5 hours on a Friday and Saturday night. So you had no choice. You just had to smash out the drinks. And then did that for a year. But after work, you'd always kind of wander down Hodson Street and end up in a little basement bar at the bottom of Hodson Street that never seemed to close and was always full of industry people. So to always kind of just sit at the bar and just have a nice time and chat to the bartenders. And eventually kind of had a bit of a falling out with the manager at Sky City and had a chat with the owner of the bar and yeah, got a job there. And that was kind of, I guess, what really started my progression into the international scene of cocktails.
Is that where you say like your career kind of really kicked in? Or?
Yeah, I think so. That's where I started to meet like international bartenders and really get involved in the New Zealand scene, because Sky City was like really just closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then, once I started working at Sweet and the legendary bartenders that have worked at that bar, and because it had such a reputation, then you kind of get to meet everyone from the Matterhorn and Motel and Double Happy and from all over the country. And it was pretty special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a pretty special place. And I think like everyone in hospitality, like in the last like decade, probably has some sort of memory from that place. Yeah, it's such a special little bar. It's still, I can't believe it's a hairdresser. It's a salon now, isn't it?
The hairdressers was upstairs. It's like some offices now. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Dave shut it without really telling anybody.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Sweet was one of those legendary bars, and when places like the Matterhorn and Motel were at their peak, and regularly getting into the 50 best bars, Sweet was the one bar in Auckland that really would give them a run for their money.
Mm.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
It was always a bit of an institution, actually. I think probably me and G spent quite a bit of time there, but I remember even in earlier days of my hospo career, as the whole Sale Street crew coming down, 10, 15 strong, ridiculous. And it'll be like, there's no seats in here, but we're just going to stand because we need to be here.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean,
in Wellington, there's like this whole world that I didn't know about. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's so weird to hear the stories.
We could fill a whole podcast of stories from Sweet.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yes, we could.
that might be like the membership subscription podcast. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, we should get we could get like a bunch of the old managers and staff together and just have a. But for me, I feel part of the old guard of, it was that time when we were seeing this kind of revolution in cocktail drinking. It was when we got a bottle of Ocean Spray, it was exciting. It's like, oh my God, this is proper cranberry juice.
Yeah.
But it felt like really exciting, and it was still a little bit underground. People were starting to venture out and get cocktails. And so I guess it laid a lot of the groundwork for the amazing things that were to follow. And we had some really iconic bars. I mean, I still say that the best bars I've ever been to in my life, Matterhorn and Motel are still in the top 3.
I miss those bars.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, definitely. So you obviously got to New Zealand quite early on and have worked in various different styles of bars. Now, having worked with Kiwis, how do you think Kiwis are perceived around the world?
There's 2 countries in the world, I would say, that are uniformly popular everywhere you go. And been fortunate enough to travel most of the world, and every country you go to, everyone loves the Kiwis. I think it's the Kiwis and the Canadians.
Yeah.
But you guys have the advantage because the Americans don't really like Canadians.
I think it's the other way around as well. I think Canadians also hate Americans.
I think there's a lot of the world that hates Americans. But no, it's the country and the politics that define how people think. I've got a lot of friends in America who are super awesome. But in general, wherever you go in the world, everyone loves the Kiwis.
Yeah.
And as we said at the start, I think there's a disproportionate influence on the industry from New Zealand. You look at the number of people that actually work in the hospitality industry in New Zealand, and then look at the influence they've had globally. I think it's been fantastic. And whether that's, you look at the wines, you look at the kind of the level of global brand ambassadors that are being Kiwis, the products that have come out of that country. And also we should not forget to mention the greatest cocktail competition that ever existed.
Well, yeah, exactly.
40 to below. Yeah.
That was my first. I remember representing New Zealand in 2007, and that was my first ever. It was like just eye-opening, right? You can actually travel the world and do this stuff, and it was such a crazy comp.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to explain that competition to a friend the other day. And I was just like, I don't even know where to begin. Just like, it's pretty hectic, but to even just see videos of it, just to understand a small snippet of it, it's just like, cool, man, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think the way you could just, if you were to take all those big global cocktail competitions and invite all of the winners, everyone that ever entered back to re-enter, the only one where you would have 100% participation would be the Cocktail World Cup.
Yeah.
For sure. So obviously you've had quite a few experiences working in so many different countries and sort of like different sectors of the industry. Is there something that kind of really stands out for you, sort of like the most interesting, and like where was it and sort of like why?
Yeah, I guess after I left New Zealand, so when you guys booted me out of the country, I went to India. Which was an incredible experience. So, I'm sure if you remember in 2008, the terrorist attacks in Mumbai.
Yeah.
So like much of the world, I kind of sat there watching the TV as these terrorists from Pakistan took the entire city hostage. And I'd heard the stories about the staff there risking their lives to save their guests. Yeah, and for me, I thought I knew hospitality. I thought it was like giving a great cocktail and a glass of water when people came in. And then here were people like risking their lives to save their guests. And for me, that was a level of hospitality that I had never come across before.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity to go to that hotel and help them reopen their bars after the terror attacks, I just couldn't turn it down. Like to go and learn from those staff about like a level of hospitality that I'd never even considered before was something I could never turn down. And it was so humbling to go there and meet these people who earned like $60, maybe $100 a month. And yet they were still willing to risk their lives.
How would you say their hospitality is different? Like how their form of hospitality?
It comes from the heart. Like it really does. They have a real passion to look after people and to give people great experiences. Not necessarily the best educated, and it's never, quite often not very good service because they come from poor uneducated or lower educated backgrounds, but they come with something that you can't teach, with that passion and that desire just to give an amazing experience. And for me, so doing 1 year at the hotel and then 2 years as a brand ambassador and traveling to all parts of India, I think was one of the most amazing experiences I've had in the industry.
It looks amazing, man. Like it was unbelievable to just kind of see it from, photos and stuff, but I'm sure to experience it on the ground was obviously quite, yeah.
Yeah, and to see where it's come, when I got there, I was the first brand ambassador in India. And literally having to teach people the difference between a lemon and a lime.
Oh, wow.
This is a lemon. this is a lime, this is a lemon, this is a lime. What's this? Lime, sir. And to see where the industry is now, and to see some of the Indian bartenders who are just absolutely brilliant now, just fills me with so much happiness.
Yeah. I guess that's definitely a rewarding feeling of hospitality, right? Being able to teach you. Cool, man.
Just to give them like a little bit and see how they grow.
Yeah. Amazing. I can talk to you all day, and we know that. But I'll let Laurie ask a few questions now.
Sweet. So I'm going to dive into some of the Healthy Hospo stuff and chat to you about that, because you've had an incredibly varied career. You've gone through to be a global ambassador, as you've talked about. You've, I think, worked in every single country that's around. Every time I talk to you, I think I learned about a different country that you worked in. You'd be like, oh, have you been to Madagascar? Yeah, I worked in there in 2016 for a month.
63 countries now?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So anyways, obviously you've worked in many different places and you've had really cool, varied roles. So what I want to talk to you about was, Healthy Hospo. So you're the founder of it. And could you tell us, because for anyone who doesn't know, and we're obviously running this interview platform through Healthy Hospo, why did you start this brand, or how did it begin? What led you to believe there was a need for something like Healthy Hospo in the industry?
It started from a very personal experience. So after I left India, I got a job I was working with Diageo at the time, but I got a job as a global ambassador for Bullet whiskey. So I had one of those jobs that a lot of people in the industry dream of, traveling the world, going to the best bars, corporate credit cards, 5-star hotels. And it was great for a while, but it slowly became more and more difficult. The travel is extreme. You're away from home 250 days of the year.
250, wow.
Yeah, so you're kind of constantly jet lagged. Your sleep just goes to the floor. You're always eating in restaurants or room service. You're never getting like really nutritious, healthy home cooked food. Exercise goes out the window because you're so tired most of the time. I'd always try and use a gym and always take my running gear with me, but it was very inconsistent. And then there's the loneliness. Even though these jobs are extremely sociable, you're constantly meeting people. You're constantly trying to make micro friendships, and you're always away from your close friends. And then in 2016, there was a change of management at Diageo. So the close-knit team, which was kind of holding everything together and really relying on, that disappeared. And then I was dating a girl at the time, and we broke up, and that was all combined with my biggest year of travel ever. And then at the Athens Bar Show in 2016, it all kind of came crashing down. And after giving my chat to the bartenders around Bullet and Bourbon, I went back to my hotel room and tried to commit suicide. And that was really the moment that Healthy Hospo was born. So it was getting through that moment and that evening and beginning to talk publicly about my struggles. I was first diagnosed with depression at the age of 16. It's something I've struggled with my whole life. And it reached a point that that combined with everything that was going on in my life. And I wasn't managing myself very well. There was excessive drinking and travel and all the other stuff that was going on. But when I started to talk publicly about it, I got hundreds and hundreds of messages from people who were opening up to me and telling me their stories. There was from friends, colleagues, peers, complete strangers. And I just got to thinking, there's so many people who are writing to me personally. I've literally hundreds and hundreds of messages. Why is no one really talking about this in the industry? Why have we got why are we playing lip service here? Why is no one trying to do anything to help this situation? And then I just realized, what kind of man would I be if I know that this problem exists and so many people are struggling and suffering? If I just walk away from the industry, because my therapist and the doctors are saying that just need to get out and go and do something else instead. there's so many people who need my help. I can't turn my back on them. I've got to at least try and see if there's something I can do to help change the industry for the better. And that was the birth of Healthy Hospo. So kind of went through my recovery, went through therapy and everything over 7 months. And it was during that 7 months that I began to kind of put a few pieces together and figure out. I had no idea what I was going to do. So I knew how to write a website and I knew how to do social media. So it started there. Started writing some articles about my recovery, going through therapy. People seem to respond well to those. And now it's expanded into this fully fledged training platform that works all over the world. Yeah, that's the kind of the story of how Healthy Hospo was born. It's
pretty brave for you to come forward and, share all that so publicly with the world. So it's definitely something that, is very impressive that you'd have such an open and vulnerable conversation with so many people in hospitality. Were you surprised with how many people came forward to you and kind of reached out and said that they had the same problem? Oh,
absolutely. Because I didn't expect, when I started to talk about it publicly, I wasn't being brave. It wasn't like a conscious decision to be brave and talk about it. It was more coming from a place of I just need some help. I was in such a place of hopelessness and isolation and loss that I thought that if I spoke publicly, I would get some nice messages from people. And that would help me feel better and help me get through that difficult time. And it was when I started to get those messages that things changed. So I never expected that. I never knew, because none of us did. We all go out and we drink and we go to bars and everyone's having fun, and then we were all kind of just suffering in silence.
Just hiding away.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it might be because we're a very masculine dominated industry. You don't talk about your problems. It's leave your problems at the door, don't bring them to work.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. This game face nature and this whole, the whole focus of, chucking on a different face for work and, shutting it away because you're too proud that's one of the hardest parts throughout bars and kitchens and the whole hospitality career, right? It's almost ingrained in stuff from the get-go. Or at least back in the day it was.
Yeah, I think it still is in most places. We were all put on that mask. And it's no one likes a grumpy bartender, right? It's the phrase.
No, not at all.
Well, so you speak a lot about how you're a doctor and you were being told to leave the hospitality industry, and I guess something that I'd like to know, well, first of all, do you believe that you have to go to, does working in hospitality mean you have to be unhealthy, essentially? Do you think it does?
If I thought that, I wouldn't be here now. I wouldn't be doing Healthy Hospo. I fundamentally believe that we can change the industry for the better. It's never going to be the healthiest industry in the world because of the hours that we work, because of the the late nights, the disruption of our sleep patterns, for a lot of reasons. We're never going to be ultra healthy, but we can do considerably better than we do now. And I don't think, I believe that people shouldn't have to sacrifice their health just to go to work.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's be honest here, bartending is not saving the world. We're just trying to make people's lives a little bit happier, which is, it's a very noble thing. And, we shouldn't have to risk our lives, in our health. And I've lost far too many friends to this industry. Just to go to work and make drinks and make people happy or cook some food. It's more to life than that. And also, if we are healthier and we are happier, not only are we going to be enjoying life more, our venues are going to be much more vibrant. The guests that come in are going to have a better time. It's just a situation that everyone wins in. The businesses are going to make more money. It's just I hate to use that term, a win-win-win situation.
Yeah, but yeah, it is like it's something that people are becoming more and more aware of now. Is like, you know, if you look after yourself, you can give more to other parts of your life. And one thing I want to ask you quickly here was about your own, you know, like you've been through so much and you've experienced a lot of, you know, challenges in your life. How have you learned to cope with some of these? Like, is there anything that I don't know, like how have you learned to cope with these things and now?
I guess like one of the first things is to put my health first. You know, back in the day, those old sweet days and the bullet days, it was, you know, I never even considered my own health. You know, I thought I was indestructible, like a lot of young people do. And, you know, thinking back, like I probably had my first breakdown at Sweet. If you ask Chanel about, next time you speak to Chanel, ask her about the tequila night. And that's probably the first proper breakdown I ever had. So now I'm much more aware that, you know, and I always use the phrase that you can't fill a cup from an empty cup. You know, so if I'm to do my job properly, you know, if I'm to give great service, or if I'm to use Healthy Hospo to be able to help create a better industry, I have to make sure that I'm in a really good place first. Otherwise, I can't do that effectively. It's not a selfish point of view. It's actually quite a giving point of view. And a big part of that is sleep. So I'm really kind of militant about making sure I prioritize sleep. And you know this, I banged on about it enough.
I'm the same now. Everyone I talk to, I'm like, oh my God, you need to learn all about sleep. It's amazing.
Yeah. And it's funny how, like I heard on the first podcast you did, you were saying that you don't know how you'll be able to go back to work because you go to bed at 10 o'clock every night.
Yeah. I'm about to gear up to open up a bar and I'm just like, God, it's 10 o'clock. I'm already in bed.
In bed by 8.
I'm going to do the open shift, guys, and then I'm going to go, okay?
You should just make like a little nap nook in your staff area.
There you go.
Just wait for the sore legs, G.
Yeah.
The sore legs. That's going to be the one. That first killer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But it's funny how many bartenders have been saying the same thing. Like we had on our Instagram today, we had a piece by Pippa Guy, used to be at the Savoy. Yeah. And she was saying, you know, she actually posted her sleep charts from before lockdown and during lockdown. And like the difference is she's getting like maybe 5 hours of sleep before lockdown when she's working. And it's just all over the place. And then her sleep during lockdown is just like 8.5 hours every single night, just bang.
Yeah, it's amazing.
She's saying she feels so much better for it. So I think there's a lot of bartenders in a similar situation who have got into some sort of regular habits around sleep.
Yeah.
And we always say that, Healthy Hospo say that sleep is the foundation of good health. You know, if you're not getting great sleep, then everything else will fall down. So it's really the thing you've got to before. It's basically our superpower. You know, every single animal on the planet sleeps, from the smallest mosquito to the biggest blue whale. It's a fundamental part of life on Earth. It's the recovery process of how we recover from all the shit we do to ourselves during the day.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd say would help you cope with personal challenges apart from, like, I mean, I think that's great because if the one thing people take away from today is like just sleep, what a tough thing to hear. Sleep more. Exactly. Be healthy.
Go to bed. Be healthier, sleep more. Okay. That's great. I mean, I know I'm not perfect by any stretch. Like, you know, I'm not here to say that I've solved the riddle and you should do exactly as I do. You know, I still struggle from day to day. But I've learned along the way that, you know, if I'm getting good sleep, if my diet is pretty good, you know, I'm eating a lot of vegetables, cooking from scratch, doing exercise. Yeah, I've always been big into exercise. So I get my exercise in and I'm trying to connect with as many people as possible. That's a solid base to start from. I mean, for me, lockdown has been challenging from a connection point of view. I've come home to Cornwall and sit in a shed most of the day at the end of the garden. and I don't really know anyone down here anymore. All my friends are up in London or overseas. So that's been very difficult and tough. And because of our lockdown procedures here, I can't, you're not allowed to go out and meet people from other bubbles. So that's been a big challenge for me. So I've kind of leaned more heavily on the other side of things. Nothing will ever be perfect for a long period. It might be perfect for a short period of time, but you've just got to kind of roll with the flow. And if you're lacking in one area, which sometimes I am, I try and kind of make sure that I'm over-indexing on some of the other areas.
Totally. And it's I think it's good to acknowledge that, things are always you're not always going to be perfect, and you're not always going to be super happy, but that's fine because that's in nature.
Exactly. It's just like happiness is an emotion like sadness, and it comes and it goes. Like these self-help people and these life coaches, you should achieve happiness at all times. It's complete nonsense. It's not possible. It's like
realistic.
Yeah. Embrace happiness as something that comes for a period of time and it goes. If you had it all the time, you would never enjoy it.
I think a realistic understanding is the key, right? It's like when you can do these things. If you can't, then understand that you should if you can. Yeah.
And interestingly enough, everything you mentioned is what we talk about in Healthy Hospo. So I hope that people are intrigued to learn more.
Wow.
What a plug. Before I move on.
Are you reading that off a sheet, Tim? Or?
Yeah. That's a sales sheet.
But what I did want to finish off with is a quick question around through your Healthy Hospo journey, is there a particular success story that you really love, or do you have a favorite one about potentially maybe someone's life you've seen change through I've had
a few messages of people saying that I've saved their life, or Healthy Hospo saved their lives.
Wow.
Which I guess like just one of those makes it all worthwhile.
Wow.
I think those are the ones that really kind of those are the things that make me get out of bed every morning, knowing that there are people out there that we are helping.
Yeah.
And just because that's the whole thing about Healthy Hospo. It's just trying to make people healthier and happier. And it's not rocket science. We're not. It's just, and that's it, really. So there are. I couldn't really pick out one individual one because there have been so many. For me, a big one was. A big moment was when we did our first event in 2017, 2018. 2018. And it was like an all-day event around health and wellness and the hospitality industry. No one had done anything like it before. And we had over 100 people in the room, including 9 global brand ambassadors. And everyone stayed for the whole day. And that was like a moment. And I was like, oh, wow, maybe this is something that the industry really wants.
Yeah, awesome.
That was a pretty special moment. And also the when I flew to New Zealand and we sat down to plan and plot the future of Healthy Hospo NZ. That was a pretty special moment as well, to come back, to be able to give back to an industry that has given me so much. Was pretty special.
Can't wait to have you over here again.
Me too.
Yeah, wicked. Well, cool. I mean, on that note, it'd be awesome to kind of dig into a little bit of industry perspective bits from you, some of your opinions and kind of chat through some of those. So I guess obviously there's a potential challenging few years coming up in the next years globally. But in your opinion, what are some of the things we might need to consider throughout hospitality? Obviously, being healthy is a huge part and understanding of our bodies. But is there anything else that you think of that kind of would fit into that category?
Yeah, sure. I actually made notes for your section, Mikey.
No worries.
It's prep work.
Stop it.
Yeah. I think, oh God, it's Mikey. I hope it makes sense. I think, I mean, obviously there's the health and I think compassion is going to be a big one.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the most important trait that we can have going forward. These are very strange times. and that no one, at least none of us, are old enough to have experienced the Spanish flu pandemic post World War One. And we don't know what the future is going to look like. But everyone is in this together, and I think that we are going to have to show a lot of compassion towards each other, despite what seems to be going on social media around the world. We need to look out for each other. We need to look out for the most vulnerable groups. And it's going to be tough. Bars are going to close, restaurants are going to close. I'm sure in New Zealand you already had a bunch closed. We have over here in the UK.
Yeah, man. Do you think something like understanding a bit of preparation for potential outburst again is probably a pretty key point as well, right? Yeah.
I mean, we're already seeing it over here. Today, the government announced the new lockdown measures. And I think it's going to keep kind of flowing like this, and it's going to be a long time. It'll be 2022 until we get back to any sort of regularity, where there's some sort of consistency going forward.
Yeah.
So I think until we get there, having compassion is going to be super important. Obviously, businesses being able to think on their feet and change their businesses where they see fit. And I think that's one advantage of our industry. Hospitality is an incredibly creative and fast-moving industry. So I think with the COVID situation the industry is very well placed to adapt itself very quickly. And we've seen how quickly bars started launching home cocktail deliveries, adapted their venues to allow people back in. So we can work really, really fast. So that's something that gives me a lot of hope. People are,
Sorry, it's really cool to see. I guess that like a lot of businesses, probably people out there don't think about it, but a lot of businesses have had to completely adapt into a completely different business. Retail versus somebody coming into your venue is so different, right?
You've even got pubs doing takeaway pints. It's just the fact that people are just like, okay, what can we do? What can we do with our product and give it out to our people that we care about? And they want to be with us. How can we help them as well?
Yeah, we have a pub in London that turned itself into a mobile pub, so you can order a pint and they'll drive to your house.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You come out of your house and they've got taps on the outside of the van.
You're even seeing that here. Like you can order bottles of wine and they'll just come to your door, drop them off. It's amazing.
It's a new
culture. It's like Top Coupe, right? They went from being a restaurant where they had to adapt to being a storefront, and now just got massive.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I think exciting. I think there's quite a lot of people in the industry that will rise to the challenge and will be excited by the challenge. Yeah. And, it's almost like forced creativity. And
for sure.
During those times of great change, you can do great things. So that gives me a lot of hope for the industry, because people are not going to stop drinking and they're not going to stop wanting good quality restaurant food.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to adapt ways of how we get it to them.
Yeah. Hey, do you think this is a key time for businesses to start kind of implementing kind of health and well-being program as well? Do you think this is like the perfect, in my head, it's the perfect timing, but what do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you, Mikey. Great point.
It's probably a bit biased, but
no, exactly right. What we're saying to businesses is there's like health consciousness in the public has never been greater. There's a deadly virus running around the world, and if businesses want to be successful and keep doing business, they're going to have to visibly demonstrate to rebuild trust in their customers. So they're not only going to have hand sanitizer when you come in and social distancing measures. You're visibly going to need to demonstrate that you are taking the health of your customer seriously. We've been all in this situation. You start a job and you get the if you have a handbook. I mean, we never had handbooks at Sweet, but you're always told anything at Sweet, no contract, no nothing. Got paid. We were
Kiwi
like,
unaware.
Sometimes you got paid.
So, yeah, that was very true. When Dave hadn't spent all the money. What was I saying? But you're going to need to visibly demonstrate that. We were told that if you're sick, if you've got a cold or got the flu, don't come to work because you don't want to make the guests sick. And we all completely ignored it. If you've been to a restaurant or a bar more than a handful of times, you will have been served by somebody who's got a cold or flu at the time.
It's terrible. It's so bad.
Yeah. But that has to stop now, because there is that risk of passing something on. And before that person might have gone home and gone like, oh, now I've got a cold, great, and never thought about where they got it from. That has completely changed now. Now with track and trace systems, everyone's going to know. And if you're a business owner, that can have a devastating impact on the reputation of your business.
Yeah, for sure. There's a perception, right? Perception is so key.
I guess there's
absolutely.
There's like an immunity conversation there as well, like, right? Don't want to get it either. So
no, exactly. I've had it and it sucks balls.
Whoa, I can only imagine. Far out.
And not sucking balls in a good way, but I'm a pretty fit and healthy guy, and it took me out for 2 weeks. And it took me a good 2 months to recover properly from it, and I was on the lucky ones.
Yeah.
So back to your point, I think that it's going to become even more important, and businesses are not only going to have to do it, they're going to have to visibly demonstrate to their customers to rebuild that trust to get them to go into the bar.
Yeah. I think it's less so about personal and more so about businesses implementing it. So there's a perception level now which makes it even more needed, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we've just put that on top of all the business benefits of having healthy staff, more profitable, take less sick days, lower turnover rates, with better customer service. So you've got all of those business benefits already, and then you're just adding on top the kind of current situation.
Yeah, cool. So we've covered quite a bit on, we've covered the fact that sleep is very, very important. And that's probably one of the awesome little hacks we can take away from today. But do you have any other little kind of well-being hacks specifically for the hospitality industry, I guess, that we could kind of throw in here as a good starting point? Yeah,
sure. The one that I always say that if you ever come to one of my training sessions, if you take one thing away and one thing only, it's leave your phone out of your bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say to everyone.
Why?
You take your phone in your bedroom?
What?
You take your phone in your bedroom?
Maybe.
We've all done it. We've all done it. Taking your phone into your bedroom just has so many impacts on your life, from disrupting your sleep patterns to affecting your mental health. And the fact that we're spending, like, the average millennial spends almost 6 hours a day on their phone.
Yeah.
Having that break. So if you use your phone for an alarm clock, go and buy a fucking alarm clock. They're super cheap. But just make your bedroom a phone-free zone. And it doesn't cost you anything. Well, maybe buying the alarm clock might, but your health will improve almost instantaneously. You'll get such better sleep. You'll have a nice break from your phone.
Yeah, awesome. I like that. Hey, do you have any advice that you'd give kind of owners or managers on kind of encouraging a healthier workplace? Maybe any starting points or tips to get it, just kind of start the ball rolling?
Yeah, I guess I think there's a bit of the Simon Sinek management style. It's lead from the front. If you're any sort of manager or owner, like, to be truly effective, you've got to lead from the front. If you're asking your staff to be healthy, but you're doing 7 shots of tequila a night and not sleeping and eating pizza every day, they're never going to take it seriously. So if you want to build a healthy business, and I guess that also starts with the question, what kind of culture do you want to have at your business?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyone that starts a business doesn't go into it thinking, or at least in hospitality, that they're only doing it because they want to make a ton of money. Because I can't think of any industry that's more difficult to make a ton of money than hospitality. We always do it for other reasons.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, what kind of business do you want to create? What kind of culture do you want to have inside your business? And what legacy do you want to leave? And then lead from the front.
Yeah, awesome. For sure. And it's so key, right? The culture is, coming from, and I'm sure we've all worked in different businesses and different bars and restaurants before, but the culture is so key to how the team performs, how the team works, how everything comes across that bar.
Absolutely.
Bars, right?
Absolutely, because we don't really go to bars for their drinks. We go to bars for how they make us feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
And so many operators will spend more on their wallpaper or their chairs than they do on their staff wellness.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever came to your bar because you got nice chairs. You've got like really fucking amazing wallpaper. They come for your team here, and all of you have worked in bars that have amazing teams, from like Bedford to Dandelion to Happiness. Some absolutely outstanding teams, and that's why people came, because you made them feel special.
Yeah. It wasn't the sofa that cost as much as your house. That wasn't the
exactly.
reason.
And they probably did cost as much as my house at Dandelion.
Yeah, they did. I think one of Ryan's quotes was, one of the green sofas at Dandelion cost the same amount of money it cost to set White Lion up.
Wow. Oh my God.
And that was probably twice as much as it cost Ali to set Happiness up.
I feel like that's more of a UK
100%.
problem than a New Zealand problem. We don't have any multi-million-dollar couches floating around.
I don't know.
Speak for yourself, Laurie. You've not been to my house.
Yeah.
What's that new hotel downtown? That's pretty fly.
Yeah, there's some cool places opening.
So yeah,
that's pretty expensive. But yeah, like Happiness, which is one of my favorite bars of all time. The bartenders built all the furniture in there originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Ali refurbished and got this new expensive furniture, and everyone complained and said that the old stuff was better.
Oi.
Yeah. But what they did was just build a great team. When you came in, you felt really special.
Yeah.
And that was so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, 100%.
Cool. I got a last little one for you, but is there any changes that, and this doesn't necessarily have to be well-being related, but is there any changes that you'd like to see in the industry over the next little while, or any that you're kind of potentially picking to change quite heavily in the next little while?
Yeah, one thing that I would really like to see change, and it's going to take a massive effort from everyone, is a kind of end to this macho peer pressure, which kind of almost equates to bullying. People, it's like, just have one more shot. Don't be a pussy. Have another shot. And rather than respecting your colleagues and giving them that influence, let's put an end to that, and let's, instead of trying to push each other into bad behavior, let's try and encourage each other to better behavior. I've lost too many friends to either alcohol-related disease or suicide. And it just always upsets me that, if we'd just been a little bit kinder, a little bit more compassionate, maybe we wouldn't have lost those people. We talk about the Hospo family all the time. Let's just try and act a bit more like a family sometimes and really look out for each other.
Ask each other out for
I'd really like to see change.
Instead of a drink.
Yeah, and, go for a coffee, go for a coffee, go play football. Let's do something that doesn't involve going to other people's bars and drinking cocktails. You don't see accountants going, hey, on our day off, what should we do? Let's all gather together and do some spreadsheets. They go out and do other things that interest them. And it's one of the things that's been good about lockdown, I think, is seeing the rise of things like in the UK, there's lots of bartender football leagues now, or soccer, as you guys would call it. And bartenders get it because they're kind of on what we call furlough over here. So they're getting government money, but not having to go to work. So they've been doing other stuff, like running and cycling and things that they used to be really into. But then they became all consumed by the industry. And I always I mean, I'm sure you guys will interview him at some point, but a quote by Jacob Byers, which is like, remember, it's not a lifestyle, it's just a job, which I think is really important, because sometimes we can get all consumed by it. You know, we only ever read books about cocktails, we only ever talk about cocktails, we never watch videos on YouTube about cocktails. When we have time off, we go and drink cocktails in other people's bars. We forget about all of the other stuff. Yes, G, I agree. Let's talk about that. So yeah, I mean, that's something I'd like to see change.
Man, you've just nailed it on the head, though. That whole married to the job is what we've all come from, and I guess personally, I've just experienced kind of how I've had to stop being married to the job because I've had a young child, and I literally have to have my weekends. No other way, you know.
It's good because Mikey sets boundaries for us with this. He's like, okay, guys, from 5 till 8:30, you cannot talk to me. And we're like, cool. But it's just because I get in trouble. Important.
It's not. I mean, I could.
Good.
I just.
Good.
It's good, but the boundaries are good. I like it.
I mean, the number of Zoom calls I do with kids in them now is just amusing. But yeah, it's just about reconnecting with things outside of the industry that you are also passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. That's the one, then. Cool. Well, I mean, the last one from me is a little Dicky Bird told me that you might be working on something. So any chance you can give us some ideas on what you're working on? I know it's potentially launched around the world in other places, but in New Zealand we definitely haven't seen it.
It's coming to New Zealand soon. We're just sent some labels for printing, so hopefully soon. We're on our way to Australia, so the first bottles will be shipping to Australia in the next few weeks, then hopefully over to you guys. But it's
cool.
Last year I launched a little Calvados brand called Avalon. It's an old Cornish word for apple tree, with the mission to create the world's most sustainable spirits brand. And the reason we did a Calvados was because we did a lot of research around raw materials. You know, because the mission was to create the world's most sustainable spirits brand, we started with the question, what's the best raw material to make alcohol from an environmental point of view? And asking that question led us to apples, which then led us to Normandy and the wonderful world of Calvados. Yeah, so we launched May last year. Just over a year and a bit old now. We've just, today actually, we've just closed our crowdfund. So we had a successful crowdfund. Thank you very much. So it's a big day. So now we have a little bit of money, so now we can go out and have some more fun. And then
amazing.
Launching another company in the next few weeks as well. So a company called Lasso, which is a digital marketplace for independently owned craft drinks brands.
Okay.
So during lockdown, with the big kind of shift to e-commerce and everyone buying stuff online, we saw that, at least in the UK, all of the e-commerce platforms are very similar. You know, and as a brand owner, you get listed on one of those platforms, and it's just an image of the bottle, a small description, and that's all you've really got to sell your product.
Yeah.
And you're competing against the Diageos and the Pernod Ricards and the Bacardis and the William Grants of the world. So we wanted a platform that was purely for independently owned small brands that really allowed them space to tell their stories. And for the customers, they can come have a single place where they can find lots of new and interesting brands and, you know, and fall in love with all the things that we've fallen in love with, like sake and Calvados and Baijiao, or maybe not Baijiao, Geneva and all these other kind of weird and wonderful spirits.
Amazing. Yeah, I think that's definitely
sounds epic.
Yeah, definitely where the world's going. I think our industry is going to change so much after all this, so it's cool to hear about, get the first sneak peek into what's up next. So we are going to wrap things up.
Really?
Wrap things up.
I've been talking about Healthy Hospo? Really?
It's
Turn
only
around,
9 a.m.
turn
here. We will wrap things up now. Thank you so much for taking time out to come chat to us. We realize it's a little bit later over in the UK, but it has been an absolute pleasure to chat to you and hear more about your story and hopefully share that with the rest of the industry. So thank you, Tim. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, it's been joyous. I just got it. It's only an hour long.
Yeah, we have to try and corral in the we have to try and corral these interviews, but thank you so much. That was super interesting. And if anyone wants to reach out to Tim, they're more than welcome to at any point. He's on Instagram. I think it's @GingerBitters. And feel free to reach out to us as well. But hope you enjoyed this show today. Thanks, team.
Thanks, everyone.
Amazing. Thanks, Tim. Thanks a lot, bro.